Mario Kart.
Hey guys, welcome to Slipping Out episode 6, where we're going to be exploring Mario Kart 64, which is awesome because I absolutely loved this game when I was a kid, and I'm going to hopefully be showing you a few things that you may not have seen before, like secret hidden boxes, and I'm even going to be doing some glitches in this one. So to start off with, like in most games we've taken a look at so far, you might notice throughout the video parts of the track and the background will disappear depending on where the camera would normally be facing. Like we always do in these episodes, let's take a quick look at our character. In this case I'm Donkey Kong, and as you can see in Mario Kart 64 we are 2D, and of course this applies to all the characters on the grid. But not only are the playable characters 2D, Lakitu is also 2D, and indeed a lot of the enemy sprites scattered through the courses are also like this. A lot of them using what's called billboarding. Now, if you're not sure what that is, I'll explain more about that in just a moment, but I always wanted to know where Lakitu goes once he started the race, and here he goes in slow-mo. He spins round to face the players, which I found quite strange, before he disappears. A little quirky part I found about Luigi Raceway whilst I was exploring with the camera is the large screen at the entrance of the tunnel. As you'll know, it'll display a zoomed picture of whatever is on our screen at the time, just cutting out the item boxes and map. Normally the camera wouldn't be in a position for us to manipulate the large screen too much, but with the fly camera we can get it to go a little trippy. However, the screen doesn't run all the time for each player. Once you enter the tunnel, the screen will freeze, and it's only once you get far enough around turn 1 to see it again does it start moving. Earlier in the video I mentioned billboarding, and I'm sure a lot of you know what this is, but briefly for those who don't, Moo Moo Farm gives us a good example of what it is. So here we have a 2D Moo Moo cow, but when our character moves on the track, no matter which angle we look from, the Moo Moo cow always turns to face us. It's much easier than making a 3D model and much more resourceful on memory. I always wondered how the sea went in and out on Koopa Troopa Beach, and by moving the camera we find it doesn't. It actually just goes up and down. Quite a neat trick. And where does the water come from for the waterfall? It comes from the top of the rocks, of course, but literally the very edge of the rock. Kalimari Desert was quite an interesting track to take a look at because I found something out that I didn't realise up until making this video. And it's not about the train that never gets anywhere on the oval track, but if we take a zoom out of the track, we find that there are in fact 2 trains going round the oval track that never go anywhere, which I genuinely didn't know because you never really get to see them both at the same time whilst you're playing normally. I know it's not that exciting news, but I was quite surprised when I saw them, so thought I'd show it anyway. To be honest, there isn't too much to see on Toad's Turnpike that you can't already see anyway, other than there's nothing inside the vehicles. So here comes our first glitch of the video. At the start of the race, get a boost start and skid into this section of barrier that's located on top of the bridge of the turnpike. Once Lakitu puts you back on track, skid to the right, and if you've done this quick enough, you'll drop through onto the lower part of the turnpike halfway around the track. Don't worry if you miss like I have, Lakitu will locate you there anyway. Frape Snowland has one of the most effective glitches of any of the courses on Mario Kart 64, and it's not too difficult to do with a bit of practice. Before crossing the line for the first time, spin around and head back towards the bridge. From here spin around again, but don't go back onto the track. Rather jump onto the side of the track where the snow is. It doesn't matter which way you go, left or right, and I should point out at this point, you don't have to do what I'm doing and going in between the post and the track. Just make sure you stay off the side of the track until you cross the finishing line. Then go out of bounds, and it's as simple as that. Lakitu will pick you up, put you back on the track, cross the line, and you've completed the lap. Now just repeat the process a couple more times and you'll finish the course in no time. In fact, I have seen speedrunners do this in less than 30 seconds. I guess the only thing I wanted to see on Choco Mountain was where the boulders go after they fall into the water between the track. They appear just up at the side of the track, but you can see this whilst playing the game normally. So let's go and take a look at where they go afterwards. As you probably guessed, unsurprisingly, they just disappear once they're underneath the water's surface. Mario Raceway was a good opportunity to take a look at the crowd in the grandstand. It is of course just a 2D texture with some colours mixed up, but I guess it did the job well enough. I've got to be honest with you guys, I was a little disappointed when exploring Wario Stadium, as there was nothing really out there that can't be seen from the normal view. But one thing I did find out was if we do the large screen trick that we did on Luigi Raceway earlier, this time if we pause the game, we get the pause screen text on the big screen. Pretty cool stuff. Sherbet Land was pretty interesting to see. First of all, I thought I'd go and take a quick look at who I always assumed to be Mother Penguin from Mario 64. And just in case you were wondering, yes, she is just a hollow 3D model. Also notice that she doesn't have a reflection in the ice, probably because you'd never really see it. Unlike these little annoying guys. Now the great thing is, that reflection isn't all it seems at first. When we take the camera below the ice track, we find out there's a duplicate model underneath the ice, which gives the impression of the reflection. And this is also the same as the outer edges of the course. Possibly my favourite track on Mario Kart 64 is Royal Raceway, and whilst we're here it would be rude not to stop off at Peach's castle and take a look. I do love how they made it so players could go up to the castle in the karts and drive around it without it being part of the track. When I took the camera over, I noticed something rather strange about this flag. For some reason it has a green tint to it rather than being white like the other one. We can also find out that when the player is facing away from the castle, practically the whole thing disappears, other than certain textures, just in case you ever wondered what was inside. As you saw there, this course has quite a large shortcut, but I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you're in a 150cc race. When I was filming this shortcut, I did mess up a few times, as you do, but something happened that I've never seen anyone do before, and luckily I was recording at the time. Check this weird glitch out guys, and let me know in the comments if this has ever happened to you. Donkey Kong's Jungle Parkway had a couple of different areas I wanted to take a look at, mainly to do with the river that runs through the middle of the course. I think by now we've learned that there isn't much inside any of the 3D models we see on any of the courses, but I was interested to find out how far the river went outside the track. And also what happens to the rest of the river when we're on the bridge near the waterfall. When I took the camera above the waterfall, I was quite surprised to see a lot of the river does stay loaded up, even though it doesn't really need to be. There is quite a well-known glitch on this track, and I remember finding this as a kid totally by accident, and at the time I just thought it was a wall breach glitch. I had no idea that it turned out, if done correctly, it can be used for gaining incredibly quick lap times. Now, I'm using mushrooms to help me out do this because, to be honest, I'm not very good at it. But with practice, I have seen people manage to nail 3 laps on this course in under 40 seconds. Yoshi Valley was probably my favourite track to explore with the camera because pretty much the whole track stayed loaded up as I moved around, unlike most other tracks that I had to look at in small sections. I also found that the huge Yoshi egg that spins around near the end of the track is in fact 2D billboarded. That is, of course, until we get to that section of the course. Then as we get close enough, it turns into the 3D egg. And just in case you were wondering, I can confirm there is no giant baby Yoshi inside. Another thing that I didn't realise was the large fish that jumps over the track on Boo's Boardwalk can be made to jump continually by parking your cart up on this ramp, and from here we can take the camera and see where it comes from and disappears to. Alrighty, so the last track is of course Rainbow Road, and for me, I don't know if you agree, but this was the most frustratingly long track in the whole game. But by taking this shortcut, you can practically skip the first quarter out completely, so it is a good one, but just be sure to hit it right or you can also become a long way behind. Most of the scenery that can be seen as we're going around the track, especially the neon faces of the characters, is 2D, except for this happy Starman chap in the centre, who is 3D. As far as the battle stages are concerned, there wasn't really a whole lot I could include in the video, other than zoom outs of the maps. But to be honest, that didn't really reveal too much that we've not already seen. But for a long time now, practically since the game was released, I remember reading in a magazine about 2 mystery item boxes placed underneath the donut map. So to see these boxes, what we need to do is bring our character over to the green zone, reverse up to the wall, and when the camera breaches through, we can see the item boxes underneath the map. Now, no doubt if you have been a fan of Mario Kart 64, you'll probably have heard of these boxes being here, but do you know where they came from? Well, I decided to do some investigating to where these come from, and as you probably know, at the start of every battle game, the item boxes rise up from below the track. So I decided right at the start of a match I was going to fly the camera underneath the track, and I'm talking way down into the darkness underneath the track. And check it out, in the distance there you can see our two item boxes floating up, and just take a look how far below the track we actually are. That's a long way down. Now, I found it actually takes round about 2 minutes before these boxes finally come to their resting positions, and I believe these boxes were genuinely set to spawn in at the start of the battle by mistake way below the map, because this doesn't happen on any other battle map, and if you count how many boxes are in each coloured zone, every other coloured zone has 6 boxes, rather than green that has only 4. So there we go guys, we've come to the end of another episode. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and don't forget to look me up on Twitter and Instagram for updates on Slippy Slides, and I also post some extras that I don't include in my videos. But until next time, as always, take care and stay slippy.